Podcasting from Astrolab Studios, this is Continuum Drag, a weekly podcast where we revisit sci-fi, fantasy, and just plain weird shows that have faded from the collective consciousness and didn't quite make the impact that they intended. This week, Space Above and Beyond, episodes 8 and 9.
The dim glow falling upon the dried blood of Union brothers in the Manassas Eve still guides our path. Constellations hidden by fierce Pacific storms in the Bataan sky remain obscured by rain. The stars, 1 billion for every life laid down in Vietnam, still shine on us and will guide those who follow.
What dead guy wrote that?
I wrote it.
Welcome to Continuum Drag, the podcast that's recording in the morning for a change. I'm Luke, here with my co-host Jordan. What's real, Jordan?
I don't think anyone's going to notice the difference, though, us recording in the morning.
Oh, I'll be a lot sleepier.
Yeah, that's true. I should say, I did want to mention, I don't know if it was the last episode or the episode before that. You started with the Will Smiths getting chiggy with it.
Yeah.
Is what you did. And I booed you. And after some thought and some time away, I have to apologize. I now support that. No, that's pretty good. Getting chiggy with it. So I don't know why I booed you. It's just my first reaction to things. But now I'm supportive of it. So I'm sorry.
Thank you. Well, I'll do more musical interludes.
Yeah, please do. If they have puns in them.
Oh, good. I'll keep my eye out. Yeah. So I think you've prepared a segment for us this week, right?
Yeah, we were going to talk about the cast and their careers, basically.
Sounds good.
All right, so we'll go through these. And again, there's nothing terribly remarkable in this, so this might go faster than it even should. But we'll go through just the main cast that were on the show. We'll start with our intrepid leader, Lieutenant Nathan West.
No, he's not the leader.
Everyone's favorite. He's played by, and I may pronounce these names wrong, but Morgan Weisser or Weezer? Probably Weisser.
It's probably Weezer after the band.
Yeah. Anyway, Morgan Weisser. His last credit's actually 2010, so I don't think he's acting anymore. He sort of did a lot of one-offs on things like X-Files, Nash Bridges, Charmed, Alias. And his weird little trivia thing is he's the son of Norbert Weisser, who is a German actor. And then so I looked at his roles, and almost all the roles he just plays like a German diplomat. So but he's still acting. His dad's still acting.
Hey, good gig if you can get it right. Real character actor.
Yeah, it's like he just plays angry Germans. Anyways, that's his dad, who I guess is more famous than him. Anyways, Lieutenant Shane Vansen, who's played by Kristen Cloak. As we mentioned, she's married to Glenn Morgan, and they have since 1998, have 4 children together. She still sort of acts. She actually probably acts more than old Morgan there. But she's been in things like, surprisingly, Millennium, Final Destination, all of Glenn Morgan's things. And she was also recently in Lady Bird, but I don't remember who she was in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in the credits anyways.
Well, let's go back and watch it again.
And but I have a little fun fact to her. In 1997, she was named number 9 on Sci-Fi's Sexy 50.
Oh, what year was that?
1997.
Oh.
So, but the show was over in 96, right?
She was still in there.
Well, she had dropped in rankings. Maybe she was higher than 9.
Oh, back in 94?
Yeah, previously.
95? Whenever this show came out.
We go on to Lieutenant Cooper Hawks, played by Rodney Rowland, or Roland. He's another actor who sort of has been doing quite a lot of stuff. Oh, here's one thing. He's been in NCIS Los Angeles, CSI Miami, and CSI Crime Scene Investigation. So I don't know if he's playing just dead bodies in all those, but he's in all of those investigative shows.
It's like the German dad. He's just really good at that one thing.
Exactly. He also is in a bunch of stuff like Veronica Mars and the OC. And his most recent credit is Beacon Hill.
What is that?
I don't know. It's like a detective movie. He's starring in it, though.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Beacon Hill.
You'd write a movie called Beacon Hill, but a detective?
I don't know. I don't know if it's the most evocative title ever. But how about like Death on Beacon Hill?
Oh.
That's better, right?
What was that one about a doctor?
Oh, yeah. It was like Death is Calling. Or what was it?
Beacon Hill is Calling?
Beacon
I don't know.
Hill is Calling. Lieutenant Paul Wong was played by Joel De La Fuente. Oh, jeez.
Just like last week.
I did it again. Lieutenant Paul Wang. Sorry, Jane. Lieutenant Paul Wang is Joel De La Fuente. Here's what I really enjoyed about his credits. His first credit was in the early 90s, and he was playing a character named Quan Kim Thang, and they were in 3 ABC after-school specials, which are just called ABC after-school specials. So I don't know what they were. I think they're just like, don't do drugs sort of thing. But he played Quan Kim Thang in all of them. He's been very steady. He's worked in ER. He had a big stint in All My Children. He's been in Law and Order, Hemlock Grove, and currently he's a recurring character in The Man in the High Castle, and a new show called Manifest, which I don't know what that is.
I'm not sure either. He's one of the guys I've noticed is a little more active on Twitter. Him and the woman who plays Vansen. But he seems to have a big following because he's one of those few visible Filipino actors. So a lot of people are like big fans of his.
Anyways, he's works pretty steady.
Cool.
Lieutenant Vanessa Damphouse is played by Lanny Chapman. And here's maybe you remember this because I saw this credit. She played Ensign Serial Rager in like at least 4 episodes of Star Trek. So she's like some sort of ensign that just kept being in a show. I don't know if she just happened to be like one of the people that sat beside Data at the front of the ship.
Oh, I bet you that's what it is.
Yeah, but she played it, and she has like 4 or 5 credits of her playing that ensign.
I'm gonna go watch.
Yeah. And she's been in a bunch of stuff like Judge and Amy, Grey's Anatomy. I actually remembered her most from the one episode of Seinfeld where she's the maid that George wants to rub oil all over his bald head. Anyways, the first time I saw her, I was like, oh, it's that maid from that one episode of Seinfeld. And she actually seems to do a lot of voice work now. Although I noticed she does voice work in movies that aren't like cartoons. Like she had voice work in Jennifer's Body and The Secret Life of Bees.
Oh, interesting.
Right? So I don't know.
Like radio announcer?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, she has a bunch of credits like that. And then right now she's on F is for Family, which is a cartoon.
Oh, that is, yeah. Netflix, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah. Not now. Lieutenant Colonel Tyrus Cassius T.C. McQueen. That's his full name.
Good job.
Yeah, I barely got through that. He's been acting since 1984. He's still acting. He's been in everything from Doogie Howser to L.A. Law, Walker, Texas Ranger, Jag. He played a long time on 24 as Bill Buchanan. I didn't see it. I don't
Maybe
know
one of the presidents? I don't know.
He's been in like Twin Peaks, Revenge. He's working on a whole bunch of stuff now. I think he had like 5 or 6 credits for 2018. But my favorite being Jig Harbor.
What is that from?
I don't know. It's just a new show called Jig Harbor.
Oh, that's what it's called? That was his character's name was
No.
Jig Harbor.
No, the show's Jig Harbor. I'm assuming it's a harbor where people do jigs.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I recognized his face as soon as the show started, so I knew he was one of those guys who's in everything.
Yeah. Well, him and the next person we're going to talk about, which is Tucker Smallwood, both of them are just those serious faces that you see on TV, especially Tucker Smallwood, who played Commodore Ross.
Commodore Ross.
He's like your go-to guy for people of authority. He's got like 85 generals and principals and like just bureaucrats. He's just got one of those faces that look like he doesn't take any flack, that sort of thing. And so that's all his credits. And he's been working on a long time too. He was in Wings, Babylon 5, Frasier, Malcolm in the Middle, Jake and the Fat Man. Remember Jake and the Fat Man?
I do.
And here's another one. You watched Star Trek Enterprise, right? Because I never really did.
No, I never did.
Oh, well, anyways, he played Xindi Primate Counselor in several episodes of Star Trek Enterprise. Xindi Primate Counselor.
Primate?
Yeah. I don't know what that means. Anyways, for anyone who watches Star Trek Enterprise, I don't know if he's like a...
Big deal.
Yeah, I don't know. He's a big deal in that show. I don't know. And then right now he's playing Father Moni in Loners. Everything said like that.
Loners.
Hold on. Jig Harbor.
Is that about a library and they're trying to get books back?
That's right. Yeah, it's LOA.
NERS?
No,
Yeah.
it's Loners. LONERS.
No, I don't. I want to watch the library show.
Yeah. How many? There's not enough library movies, right?
Yeah, you guys get on those library movies.
Dewey Decimal System.
Murder at the Dewey Decimal
Yeah,
System.
there you go. Murder at the Dewey. That sounds like a Hardy Boys book, though.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
When are they coming back?
Yeah, they've never gone away, Luke. So should we get into this? 8 and 9?
Let's do it. Episode 8. Hostile Visit. During a space battle, a Chig spaceship is damaged but not destroyed and left floating in space. The Queen proposes they use the damaged ship as a Trojan horse to attack the enemy homeworld. That summary was courtesy of Jito463.
Oh, I was hoping it was going to be the Swede.
No Swede this week.
Yeah. He was off to do other things. He was off to write another review on IMDb.
He's a very busy man.
Yeah.
Or
woman.
Just like last week.
Women can do anything. They can even be,
They can
be
even
mobsters.
They can even write reviews on IMDb. All right. So this episode starts on a very... Did you notice this? A very Star Wars-esque space battle.
Yeah.
Like, it looks just like pushing in on, what are they called? Their battle cruisers, the big long ones, and all the like TIE fighters are flying, the little ones flying over it. But that's what it's like. It's the Saratoga and the Chigs are like shooting it up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good little sequence.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad. It was one of the better sequences they've done for a space battle. And for the first time, we see the Saratoga's bridge.
Was that the first time we saw the bridge?
I don't think we've ever gone to the bridge of the Saratoga before.
No, you know what? I'm going to disagree. This is the second time because I noticed the same guy. There was the same guy, I don't know, running ops. I don't know what he was. But like with Commodore Ross in the...
Oh.
This is the second time. Oh, it happened one other episode really, really briefly because it was this... I noticed, I was like, oh, it's the same guy at ops? Or I don't know what you call it. The controls of a ship. So I disagree.
Well, I stand corrected. I thought this was the first time we were here, but...
Unless I'm wrong and it's 2 times in this episode. It could be. I mean, don't trust me.
But we spent a lot of time actually on the bridge. We almost spend all of our time there, which is very strange considering Commodore Ross has been such a minor character. And now
He really has, huh?
Now he's like big time main character.
Am I wrong, Luke? I'm just trying to remember going back. Is it one part, does he play a guitar with no shirt on in this episode?
Absolutely.
Okay. I remember the episode now.
But yeah, they're in this battle. There are those little red, what are they called? The Red Bandits, the little Chig ships that are red are flying around, and they destroy all of them, but one they like damage and it's sort of floating off the side of the port.
Yeah.
Commodore Ross wants to destroy it, but McQueen talks him in, like the summary said, into capturing it. It'll be the first time they've captured an enemy ship during the war.
Now, I actually thought at first, and I must have missed something, I thought the whole conflict originally was that there was a ship coming towards them but not attacking, and that's why they were so nervous because they didn't know what to do. But it was that they had damaged the ship, right?
It was.
So why were they so nervous then to bring it in? They knew it couldn't do anything.
I think what it was is they were nervous because they'd never disabled one before. They were worried it was going to get rebooted or whatever and attack them. And in that opening sequence, there was a brief power loss. So there was a moment when they were completely vulnerable.
Right.
And that ship was just floating in front of them. But in the end, the thing was it was damaged. So it was the first time they could capture something.
Right. I was kind of hoping that the ship would be oozing a little bit.
I know. But don't worry, because we send the 58th into this damaged ship. They breach the hull and they get enter the ship. Actually, just a quick side note before they do that. They're getting briefed on their, I don't know, what would you call it? Entering the ship. They're going to breach the ship and get inside of it. And there's a really brief scene where the 58's like, Wang, your shirt stinks. And he's like, yeah, I never changed this shirt. It's lucky.
I don't even remember.
Oh, really? He's wearing, I think it's the Bears. He's wearing some sports
yeah,
shirt.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And they're all...
he's a big Chicago sports fan.
Yeah, they're all complaining he hasn't changed his shirt in weeks. And he's just like, I never changed this shirt. It's lucky. And it really doesn't come up again, but it's just weird that he's just been wearing this stinky shirt
They have
weeks.
I was kind of hoping back when we had the Raymond T. Butts episode, because I still think that was the episode with the best dialogue and, for my opinion, the best writing in the show. And they still kind of get a little lines out now and then that you go, oh, that's pretty funny, or that's a good line. But more often than not, they have a weird tendency in the show to just have throwaway lines that are literally just throwaway lines. Like stuff like that. They'll have a character that you think it's adding something to the character, but it's not really. And it just kind of takes up some time. It's very weird.
I mean, it's a setup for a one-liner later, but we'll get to that.
Anyway.
Yeah, there's this brief thing with stinky shirt, but this is sort of when they're being briefed on their mission. Then they're sent off to breach the ship. And there's this little moment, I don't know if you caught this, but as they're about to get on the ship, we kind of get a sense of where they are in this war. It's kind of the first time I think I've really understood how it's going. Maybe not. They've teased it a little bit. But some faceless tech, as they're walking toward the ship that's going to bring them to the Chig ship, the faceless tech's like, oh, I hope we are able to capture that ship because they've been kicking our butts and we need to learn something. But West gets really mad at him for, like, I guess, stating the obvious.
He flies off the handle at the guy. I really like that guy because he was just someone on the side, like just the peanut gallery, just making a sarcastic comment. He's like, "Yeah, guys, why don't you go do something for once?" And I was like, I've never seen this guy before. He's like I don't know what he is. He's like a mechanic or something, but he was just giving it to them. And West just reacted to a bully in the exact way you're not supposed to.
Just got right in his face.
Yeah, what do you mean? I lost my girlfriend. Boo-hoo.
First of 2 times he flies off the handle this episode. So they head out to the ship and land and I guess breach the hull. They like blow it up and go inside the ship. And it's very gooey in that ship.
And I wrote down the line that Wang said. This reminds me of my high school cafeteria.
Oh my God.
That's his line.
Yeah. Well, the ship's kind of interesting because we kind of get to learn a bit about how ships work.
Mm-hmm.
The Chig ships
we do.
works. They're like organic.
You know what it reminded me of a little bit? This is going to be for a very small amount of people. Do you remember Flight of the Navigator?
Yeah, of course.
The way they were trying to figure out how to operate it reminded me a little bit of Flight of the Navigator. For like, put your hand here and then kind of move it. But I do want to say, when they get on the ship, there's still at least one Chig, right?
Yeah, right.
And maybe I'm wrong, but isn't this the first time we've actually seen a Chig in quite a while? We've seen their ships and we've seen them sort of off in the distance stuff, but like actually in the same area as people, I can't remember last time I saw a Chig.
I think you're right. It's been a while since they fought one like face to face.
And they disposed of this one pretty quick.
Yeah, I think one of the teams stabs him to death.
Yeah, and that was like it. Yeah.
Although I have a question because Hawks wants to see what one looks like, so he pulls his mask off. But its face is that what its face looks like, or was it melted?
I think, and let's remember this because we're going to talk about this in the next episode, the Chigs just melt when they die.
Right.
And because we've seen it one other time, or what's her face? Remember, Dampu's killed it with water?
Yeah, I remember.
And then it died, and it sort of oozed out. So I think they have like their armor sort of like an exoskeleton, and inside they just ooze out. And I think it's the same thing. They killed the guy, and when they took the helmet off, there was just ooze left because it didn't look like any sort of structure of a face at all.
Yeah, I thought we were finding to see what they looked like, and when it pulled off, it was like a brief cut to just like goo. And I'm like, is that its face?
Don't worry, that'll be on Instagram, 100%.
But yeah, they've now captured this ship. It's somewhat organic. They keep talking about how maybe it's a life form or an organism.
Yeah, they sort of realize that the ship might, I don't know if it has sentience, but that it's alive in some way, and that there's a connection between the Chigs and their ship and how they fly it. It works in a much more organic way than pushing buttons.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways it operates is there's like, I don't know how to put it.
Orifices.
Orifices in the walls that you stick your arms into to run it. And
didn't they make? I'm sure they made some bad jokes. I can't remember though.
Yeah, Wang makes some bad jokes because they're sticking their hands in there and they're like, "Oh, you put your arms in to navigate." And Wang's like, "You better pray it's just your arms."
Yeah,
because he wants to.
Yeah,
he's hoping.
Yeah. So if he was on, remember Riverworld?
Yeah.
Remember when they came up to that big obelisk?
Yeah.
And he saw those little like food containers? He just stuck his dick in it.
That's
Wang. That's classic Wang.
Like the caveman.
Yeah. Yeah. Wang is the caveman of this group. By the way, now that we know his name's Wang, we can make a lot of penis related jokes.
It's true.
It doesn't work with
missing
Wong.
Out.
It doesn't work with Wong at all.
We've been missing out for episodes.
Yeah. We'll catch up.
Now that they have this ship, they've kind of brought it back. But surprise, guess who's waiting on the Saratoga for the ship?
Yeah, it's old Aerotech. Big 90s Conspiracies is back.
Yeah, Sewell, but from Farthest Man from the Earth, I believe was the episode.
Was that what's his name?
Sewell? Swell? I'll just keep pronouncing it.
Yeah, no, to keep going. I want to hear more.
He shows up, and basically the military's already given him control over the Chig ship. But after a couple of these after hours scenes where McQueen and Commodore Ross,
yeah,
hang out, and these are the scenes where he's shirtless.
Yeah. So here's the thing: didn't it feel? And I there was actually a moment where I thought they were going to reveal this, that McQueen and Ross are actually lovers,
or
a couple. I thought, well, it's 6 half dozen, but I thought they were both in like their room. Like they went back to their room and one's casually just playing guitar and the other chat. Like I thought it was they're really serious at work and then they go back to their home and they can have the relationship they want. But that's not what the case. I think maybe
I think the idea.
But it was weird, right? Didn't it look like they were very comfortable with each other?
Yeah, well, I definitely was just like, I thought it could have been the case where maybe they were a couple, or it's just like they're very comfortable together because Commodore Ross is, a stuffed shirt. He's supposed to be their commander. But in these after-hour scenes where McQueen is advocating that they should keep the Chig ship to do something with it, not give it to Aerotech, he's literally in an undershirt and shorts, and he's got a guitar, and he's playing some bluegrass. Commodore Ross is just playing that guitar.
There's also that clay pottery making scene, right? Where the two of them are making pottery together. Remember that romantic scene?
Yeah.
And Unchained Melody plays?
Yeah. How could I forget?
Right. It was weird for the show, but it was worth it. And let me mention one thing. McQueen seems very intense in this episode. I wrote down a couple of his lines, and I was like, simmer down, McQueen. Like at one point, they were like, what do we do when we get to the ship? And what did he write? He said, if in doubt, kill it. And then later he's like, we have to do something. If we don't, it's mass suicide. It's like, just calm down, McQueen. Like, you guys have gone through some tight spaces before. Am I right?
He has another line too, where he refers to the Chigs as like bloodthirsty souls or like bloodthirsty hearts or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's really amped up in this episode, and it's kind of, I guess, because what he wants to do with this ship, because they've been losing the war so badly, and what he's pitching Commodore Ross is he wants to basically use as a Trojan horse and fly it back to the world it came from and kind of get the drop on them. And he refers to the idea of what he wants to do as similar to Jimmy Doolittle in World War II after Pearl Harbor.
Did you look up who that was?
I did, which is something I had never heard about World War II. But he was some sort of Air Force commander who basically planned a raid where he took a bunch of bombers right sort of in the aftermath of Pearl Harbor when the States was really like kind of against the ropes. And he flew these bombers over Japan, basically dropped a bunch of bombs on Japan, but there was no way back. So they flew the bombers toward mainland China, and most of the planes had to be like scuttled. They couldn't get far enough. They didn't have enough gas. A few of them landed, but most of them crashed. And it was kind of not a kamikaze mission, but like a very risky mission that cost a lot. But in doing that, he really rallied the U.S. It gave them a huge morale boost,
right?
Which was like lacking after Pearl Harbor.
Well, I guess what you're saying is this was the idea that they were going for, but I don't know if it was entirely clear what the goal they were trying to achieve was, because I wasn't sure, were they trying to get to the Chig homeworld and set off a nuclear bomb, or was it to set up sort of resistance there, or just to get behind enemy lines? I wasn't quite clear, and that might just be because I wasn't paying attention. But so you think the basic point was that they were just going to have some sort of attack with the idea that maybe they're not going to come back?
Yeah, I think the idea is McQueen doesn't expect them to come back, that this will be a one-way trip. But what they'll do is they'll at least like cause some damage to a main Chig world. And they never quite say it's the home world. There's some implications. I don't think it is.
I don't think so either, because that's what I thought we were going to go to, and we'll get to there in a few minutes. But I'm almost positive it's not the Chig home world. It's just a planet they've inhabited, taken over? Or?
I guess so. It's just one of their planets. And I think the idea was what you would do is you'd get so far behind enemy lines, cause some major damage, and that would just rally the troops back home. Like this engineer or tech who is giving Wes the gears.
And he also keeps Kamikaze Poem in his jacket. Like, what a sicko.
Yeah.
He's very emo.
Wasn't that really prescient? Like that they knew Eminem was going to release an album called Kamikaze and he'd constantly be quoting it?
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that just happened this week, but Space Above Beyond knew all about it.
Yeah, you're giving too much credit to them. This whole episode, they really, really push and really want the viewer to believe this is the worst mission. They're never going to come back. Everyone's very upset about it. And I don't know if they quite earned that feeling that they were trying to push. Because as a normal viewer of television, it's hard to break that idea that you're actually going to see these characters die. And as much as they want to rev up this tension, I kept thinking, well, they're not going to die.
Yeah.
So, and I know that's maybe not fair, but they really, really tried to push it. And it's like almost every scene in this episode is like someone getting very upset because they're never going to come back, or they're going to talk about how they're never going to come back, or they're going to die. And what is it going to happen? It's like scene after scene after scene. I was like, guys, you'll come back.
Yeah.
You'll come back. Don't worry.
I mean, that's what happens right now is McQueen now goes to talk the wild cards into a kamikaze mission. And like you said, there's some hemming and hawing from them, but like, they're obviously going to go.
And at this point, there's a few scenes between Aerotech and, let's just say, the Marines. I don't know if it's the military, who they are, or the government. But was it clear to you who's actually in charge? Because I thought at this point, Aerotech is essentially a company that has privatized the military. I thought it was very much like Aliens, but it doesn't quite seem to be clear who's in charge, because sometimes at one point Aerotech has the ship and they're like, it's classified, you guys can't get in here, like, we're in charge. But then later on they're like, no, we're going to take the ship, and Aerotech's like, nothing we can do about it. And it was like, well, what is this balance of power?
I think it's more of a lobby group. Like Aerotech has like the Secretary General, they have people placed very high who are in their pocket, but technically they're still arm's length organizations. So Commodore Ross, when he tells this Aerotech guy, okay, we're going to do McQueen's plan, he kicks him off the ship because he can. This guy's going to still run it up higher than him and probably come back, but he doesn't have any authority, so he can't stop that moment, even though probably Commodore Ross knows one of his bosses is going to be like, you shouldn't have done that.
Right.
But technically, he has no legal standing. That's my understanding. But getting back to this kamikaze mission and all the wild cards going through their soul searching about whether they'll go on a kamikaze mission.
Yeah.
I wrote down a couple of things that were my favorite parts about them preparing for the kamikaze mission.
Yep.
One, Vansen has a monologue about why she's going to do it. It doesn't really matter, but my favorite part in her story is when she says, autumn is the most romantic, sexy, and desperate season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That was weird.
And I was like, why is desperate in there?
She's an odd character, and I think she may be the least consistent of the characters. And I hate to say this, it feels a little bit like men that have trouble writing a female character, because she's sort of, sometimes she's really tough, and then times she needs to cry or whatever. And I'm obviously, you could be a three-dimensional person, but it just seems with her, it can vary from episode to episode what she's going to be like.
Well, I think you mentioned this earlier. They've kind of lost track of what to do with her. They haven't really utilized her very well in several episodes. And I think they just kind of don't quite know what to do with her now.
I think it's that they went, we gave her an episode. That's who she is, and now she's just one of the characters. But I don't know if to be fair, we really don't know much more Wang. Apparently that he wears the same T-shirt and he sometimes online dates. That's about all we really learned of him. I mean, to be fair, he gets a little bit more in this episode, but the characters have been developed, I think, as far as they're going to go.
I mean, we'll see. I think there could be more, but I do think you're correct in that they kind of haven't figured out plot-wise or arc-wise what to do with her next, so she's kind of been at a bit of a standstill. Whereas, you're right, I feel like Wong, they found or Wang. God damn it.
Every time we say Wong, we have to apologize to Jane, because she was irritated at that.
Well, she was right to be irritated.
Yeah. Sorry, Jane.
Sorry, everyone listening. But yeah, Wang's kind of getting a little more this episode. I feel like his character development is now almost on par with hers. Although, I mean, I guess it's a small complaint. I'm still enjoying the show. But even Hawks, his big thing when he's going to go away is he doesn't want to go because he doesn't see why he should. Except when he thinks about what would happen if he didn't, he would be sad that the rest of his friends died, so he should go and die with. Like, he has the same arc every week where he's just like, I like you. That's weird, right?
He's sort of... Not entirely, but he's sort of like the android in the group, right? Like he's Spock or he's Data or he's, I don't know, whatever.
I guess that's true. He's just learning to...
He's learning that. So, and it just kind of, it's a little bit ham-fisted sometimes.
I would argue Damp House has no reservations that come up, but they do introduce this, I don't know if it's going to be a running thing, but she keeps opening and closing her mouth like a fish.
Was this the first episode they did this? Oh, yeah, it was, because Vansen gets irritated at her. She has this thing where she's got a...
I wrote it down, what her problem is. Do you remember what it's called?
No, I don't.
Apparently, battle stress has given her temporal mandibular joint disorder, and her doctor makes her like stretch her jaw a lot, so she's constantly opening and closing her mouth like a fish in every scene.
They might have just added it to add a sense of realism of the effects of being in the military and working in these
stressful conditions.
Yeah, exactly. But it was an odd thing to drop, but that's in the next episode too.
Yeah, she does the next episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Vansen's very annoyed by it.
Which I would be too. If you're in a little room and there's like 6 of you in a room and one person keeps going like their mouth, I'd be like, shut up.
Well, Vansen gets so angry. She says she looks like Jerry Lewis.
Oh yeah, that was a weird thing because that's not what Jerry Lewis does. That's not his bit. He doesn't just move his mouth in a weird way. And I thought, what a weird ref. It felt like the first script. They're like, I don't know, we'll put someone in. Just put Jerry Lewis for now, and then they never corrected it.
What is this, 2063? They're still real big into Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
That's a reference you can drop. I don't think you can drop that reference
Lady.
in 2018. I don't think it makes sense now.
Maybe 1960s buddy comedies really made a comeback 100 years later. Him and Dean Martin.
Anyway, Damphouse really doesn't him and haw over this mission at all. She just kind of, I guess, goes along with it. They don't devote any time to her.
But they mention again that I think correct me if I'm wrong. They do mention again that she has if not a family, she has someone who she's in a relationship with back at home, right? They were like, well, you have something to lose.
Yeah, right. They talk about her boyfriend who has a daughter back home for her. And she mentioned her family before. Like, they at least establish she has things back home.
Right. As opposed to Hawks. It's got nothing.
And then that leaves kind of our last character, West, who pretty much comes on board this mission pretty easily. But his big thing is he reads a book about kamikaze pilots that I guess McQueen gave him.
Yeah, he's always giving people his depressive literature.
And his plan or his idea from these books is before they leave, they should do what the pilots did when they were going on a kamikaze mission, which was clip their fingernails and put them in a box so there's something to bury. But it leads to two of the grossest close-ups I've ever seen on a TV show.
I know it's they really get in there on the cutting the nails and putting them into it. I've never seen a scene of people cutting fingernails before on TV because it's as exciting as you would think it is.
There's a tight ECU on this box twice where you see filthy fingernails just cut up and put in a box. It reminded me, and this is a personal story, I had a roommate once who, in our living room, under our coffee table, was just like, not a box kind of, but like a clipped, it looked kind of like a book, but some sort of container that was under our coffee table. And I never knew what it was. So one time I picked it up, I'm like, what is going on here? And I clicked it and I opened it. And inside was like nail cutting tools, but also all of his fingernails were inside. Like, I guess he would sit there when I wasn't there and clip his fingers. So I unclipped it once and opened it, and I almost vomited because it was full of fingernails.
That's gross.
And then other people would come to our home, and occasionally someone would just be like, see it, and their curiosity would get the better, and they'd grab it. I'd be like, don't open it, don't do it. And they'd open it, and they'd be like, oh God.
But why didn't you just clean it out?
I don't know. Why didn't I clean it out?
Well, if I saw that, I probably would have put it in the garbage.
It wasn't my responsibility to clean out his fingernails.
Well, what we've learned here is you and I are two very different roommates. See, I would have seen it and said, well, I guess it's going in the trash. And then the person later would have been like, where did that thing say? And I go, I threw it out. Because that's what I do. I threw it out. Sorry.
No.
It was gross.
It was gross. That is true.
Yeah.
I just put it back and forgot about it.
Right. Do you think... Oh, I have questions about nail clippings, but let's just
we can move on.
Let's just move on.
It was so gross though, and I had a flashback to my early 20s.
Yeah, it was surprisingly gross. I think that's what it was just surprisingly gross, these shots of the fingernails.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting fact and a good idea to give them something to do, but I didn't need. You could have done it and not shown me gross fingernails.
Yeah. Well,
we did it. And that brings us to, I guess, the last member of the fourth wild cards and what they're doing while they're debating whether they're going to go on this kamikaze mission. It's Wang, and he has the biggest conflict because he's just met a lady.
That's right. And I have a feeling she's going to become a character on this show.
Her name's Lieutenant Strode. She's a bit of a bookworm.
Yeah.
That's about all we learn about her.
Yeah. I mean, she seems like a nice person. I don't know.
She seems fine. There's a couple moments where they chat and they quite clearly are hitting it off. And then as they're about to leave on the mission, Wang's late getting there. And Vansen's like, where's your lucky stinky shirt? And he's like, turns out I don't need it to get lucky.
Yeah.
Because he had sex with that lady. So he's excited.
There should have been a scene later where she was wearing this shirt.
Oh, it's so gross, though.
No, she washed it.
Oh, okay.
She would have cleaned it like I would have cleaned those nail clippings.
Next time, I'll have you come over and deal with my problems.
Yeah.
And as you can tell they're like hitting it off because as they're leaving on this kamikaze mission, she shows up and she has actually a wrapped gift, like a birthday present.
Yeah,
in her hand
it's a
with
little
bow.
box with your classic like bow going up the sides with the tie at the top. Now, here's the weird thing about this: you never see what's in that box. The present. I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Do you know what you think? I have a feeling it's going to come back later. That's
Super
why.
Bowl ring.
No, I think it's just a baseball. I think it's a signed baseball.
Oh, you're right. Actually, I had that thought too when I saw it. It's about the size.
It's about the size of a baseball. They've rammed it down our throats that he loves the Chicago Cubs and other Chicago-related sports teams. My guess is later on in a few episodes, she'll be back with that present, and he'll be like, "Oh, it's signed by," and then they'll have some baseball player that doesn't play anymore. It's like it's Luis Garcia, or I don't know if that's a real player, but yeah, and he signed it in 2023 when he hit 4 home runs in a row or whatever stupid thing that we'll make up.
But I guess that's the point, because we haven't got to yet. She shows up with this wrapped gift that we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
She tells him it's for him, but he can only have it when he comes back. The idea being like she doesn't want him to die and that he's going to come back, which we all know he's coming back. There's no tension.
Yeah, so it better be a good present.
But you're right. It's probably a baseball.
It's a baseball. And you know, it was a little bit before these scenes where I realized, I checked the time and I went, oh no, this is going to be a 2-parter. Because I was like, there's no, they spent so much time. This was a real setup episode. Like as a standalone episode, it's pretty terrible because it's all set up. And obviously, because the next episode is going to be the second part of it, but they spend so much time humming and hawing about the mission and very little actually happens. And I was like, oh no, they're never going to get to it. They're never going to get to it. I kept hoping that at the very end there'd be something exciting happen, but no, the possible baseball is about as exciting as you're going to get.
That's not true. Something exciting happens.
What happens?
Well, now they get on the ship for the kamikaze mission. McQueen says it's a good day to die.
Yeah, I know. And he reads a poem to them and stuff, and it's like, all right.
Wink, wink. It's a good day to die.
Know, yeah.
They take the ship behind enemy lines. They I guess the ships communicate with some sort of musical tone codes because they're
yeah, I like that. That was very stealing off of what's that Spielberg movie with Richard Dreyfuss? Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Remember that?
It allows them to get past centuries and get kind of behind enemy lines toward this planet. Although, as they get to the planet, I believe the system is called Cirrus, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
As they get to this Chig planet, which is maybe not the home world. I feel not the home world.
I agree with you. Yeah, Wes just fires, right? Doesn't he? He's a real jerk.
No, this satellite or Sentry or something that's there, I guess it doesn't accept the code. I mean, they just say that. They're like, this thing isn't accepting our code.
Well, that's what I thought. I felt... And now, I'm not Team West, but they get through the first thing, they get the code, and they give back the code back, and it seems to work. And the second time, they don't really know what to do, but nothing's happening. And then West is like, "We gotta fire!" And he just starts firing. I'm like, but no one told him to shoot. I think there was other things they could have thought to do.
It did feel that way. He was just seemed to even get on an intercom and start shouting.
Yeah, he does
into space.
No, I think what it is they've heard whatever it is, the message, and so he's gone on speaker system back to them and is like,
he starts trash talking.
Yeah, and just film. It's like, ugh, you're such an idiot.
It was I was like, no, there's subtler ways to handle that. But essentially, they sort of now that Chigs know they're there, they fly through enemy fire and they come down to the atmosphere, and they're flying over what looks like a huge city.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being on a plane at night. It's this huge lit up city. It's a massive spot of land. So they've clearly found some sort of
civilization.
Some sort of Chig major city. I thought it might be a military installation at first, but it's much bigger than
No, I agree. It looks like a major city.
And they load their rockets, they fire them down, and they miss somehow.
Yeah.
It's like hitting the broadside of a barn, and they still manage to miss.
Which was a weird... it was a weird choice for them to make. I mean, it's interesting because you don't think they're going to miss, but why even have it? Like, it would have only done so much damage anyway, but you just have them, literally, they did all this thing, they get out there, they shoot and they miss, and then, as we're going to get to, they get attacked, right? Don't they? And anyways,
they're being attacked the whole time.
So they have to get to, suddenly they realize that there's an escape pod. Someone figures it out. They get into an escape pod, and that sends us to the end of the episode as they evacuate.
Jettison. Yeah, because the ship's dying. It's been damaged too badly. The only thing I could think why they missed, which is just super weird, is I guess so we wouldn't... I guess they're worried we'll dislike the characters because they've attacked civilians. But that was the whole point of the mission.
I just thought it was odd. I like that they didn't do what I thought they were going to do, but I don't know what the point of it was.
Yeah, I don't know what the payoff was either. But yeah, they get an escape pod, they eject over this planet, and we cut back to the Saratoga. Commodore Ross has basically given up on them for dead because they haven't heard anything, and it was a one-way mission anyway. But as he's about to leave, Mr. Sewell comes back from Aerotech with orders from the Admiral. Oh, no, not the Admiral. The, what do you call it? I don't remember. I thought I wrote it down. Orders from somebody.
Yeah, someone important.
Someone important. And the orders are, oh, here it is, from the majority chiefs. And they're turning the Saratoga around, and they're flying after them into the Cirrus system.
Which, okay, I get it. But also, why didn't they just wait 10 more minutes then? I mean, they could have just done this. Like, it just seems like it rendered the entire mission pointless to have this whole build-up. We got to do this thing. We have to do it now. They had to leave early for some reason. I can't remember why, before they were ready. They get there, and they do their thing, and they're like, oh, no, we can send the whole ship. We can go. We don't have to send them. Oh, wait, it's already done. Pointless. Am I not wrong?
I don't know. It wasn't, yeah. You're right. There's a lot of weird happenstance. Like, why do they have to leave early? Someone waved their hand about our window is closing. I'm like, what window?
Yeah, what's his face just came in and someone was like, guys, I know we're not ready to fly the ship, but our window's closing, so we got to go tomorrow. And that's when they're all like, let's cut our fingernails. But it's like, but why? Why is the window closing?
I mean, so that you could go to a black screen that said to be continued.
Yeah, that's why. So, and that's where we're at. We go to be continued, and it's our first two-parter.
Yeah, first ever two-parter. Mm-hmm. Crazy. I'm surprised no other show has done a two-parter. All right, you ready for part 2, Jordan?
Yeah, please. We need some payoff.
Episode 9, Choice or Chance.
What's your name? You can call me Elroy L. 1327. I was designed as a humor model, a silicate to make you smile. Oh. Now I know you're allowed to tell me your name, and I just hate people who are impolite.
Wang Paul, First Lieutenant, number 94830348828.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Wang Paul, 948-3430-928. I'd like to welcome you to our little penal work facility.
Trapped on a hostile planet and captured by silicates, Vansen and Damphoos are given a choice to make, while Wang is tortured and West finds someone unexpected. Meanwhile, McQueen and Hawks must find a way to free their comrades alone. That IMDb summary was courtesy of Gito463 again.
I'm going to say right off the bat, this was a far better episode, and I think showcased what the writers of this show can do a lot better, which is this episode, maybe more than any episode I've seen so far, does a good job at giving all of the characters something to do. Now, they may not all have huge stakes, and they may not all be super relevant to the plot, but all the major characters have something to do, even if they're with someone else, and I feel like we haven't had a lot of that in the episodes where it's a West episode or it's a Hawks episode. This one, it's a team, and they've all got something to do, and I really like that.
Oh, that's a good point. You really do make a good point. So let's get into it. We start off on the aftermath of the escape pod crash, which was actually, I like the escape pod crash. It was like,
I did too.
Appropriately epic, because they clearly did physical explosions on the ground and then CG'd in the ship coming down. But
I thought it looked pretty good.
they do a good job making it look like it crashes once and then skips and then crashes again. Though I have to say, how no one died in that crash, I have no idea.
Well, I mean, what they should have just done is had a couple more red shirts in there and had them go, right?
It was a pretty brutal crash.
Like what was that guy's name? Funk? What was that one guy's name? Remember that chubby guy?
What happened to Pissac?
Yeah, exactly. They could have put one of them in there. Like, oh no, he smashed his face.
But the crash is bad enough that only 2 people are conscious as the ship comes to a landing. It's McQueen and Hawks. They come outside because someone's coming to get the ship. And I was so confused. I mean, it gives it away in the summary here, but it looked like humans were coming over a ridge at the ship. And I'm like, are Chigs humans?
I know. I actually wrote, my note was, here comes the Chigs. Oh no, it's silicates? What is happening? Because I just didn't understand.
I didn't understand it was silicates for so long. I was just like, is this the reveal? Chigs are humans? I got so confused.
Well, it was weird. Maybe we should talk about this right now. They don't ever explicitly say how and why they're working together. They've kind of mentioned it before, right? They mentioned that they were trading ore or whatever it was.
They implied they wanted to work together, but now they actually have an alliance?
The way it looks...
Silicates and Chigs?
Yeah, the way it looks right now is Chigs are taking over planets, and for whatever reason, they need someone to be like bureaucrats, so they got the silicates to do it. Here's my major issue with that. If they're so anti-human, which becomes more and more clear in this, and we can talk more about that, the silicates look just like humans. They act just like humans. They communicate just like humans. So it feels weird to me that they'd be splitting hairs there, that they go, oh yeah, we'll deal with the silicates, but we won't deal with the humans.
I feel like there is a reason, and that reason is solely based on, and we'll get into this, humans stink.
Yeah.
They literally smell to Chigs. I think that is the problem. If humans didn't smell, no war.
Oh, you think that's the thing? You think silicates don't smell?
Yeah, they're inorganic, so they're inoffensive. Maybe Chigs just communicate via like olfactory or something.
I think it's a stretch, but it's an interesting theory.
Because that seems to be a big part of this episode. That when Chigs are talking about, because basically what happens is these silicates come down on the escape pod. McQueen and Hawks have to retreat. There's no way to stop them. There's an army of silicates coming down, and the rest of the wild cards are basically captured and hauled off to, I've got it written down here, the Kazbek penal colony.
Yeah. You mentioned this about in the episode 8, that when you first see from the planet, it looks like a very, very highly populated planet. But when they land, they're sort of in the dusty kind of mountain range that they've sort of been in before. And okay, so there's a big penal colony, so we do get some indoor stuff. But where they land doesn't seem anywhere near a city, nor is there any indication there is any cities around.
Well, and that's the thing too, is the silicates say in this, Chigs can't survive in like an atmosphere that a human can survive in. That's why they melt. So why was there a whole city on the planet? Did they crash land on a different planet somehow?
Yeah, I know. I was like, I guess they could have. I mean, look, if West was flying the ship, they probably just went to the wrong planet and were just attacking some other species that we haven't seen before. Just this innocent people that have a lovely society, and they're just attacking them. So it is good that they missed the shot. But yes, it doesn't quite add up, because it's like, you would think it would have been all terraformed then, right? The planet would be whatever, a high level of something in the air so that they could breathe properly, and they'd have to wear their masks and everything. But that's not what we get.
Whatever happened last episode really makes no sense to this episode, other than it crashed them on this planet, because there are no Chigs outside of uniform here because they would die.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to sort of follow Gito 463's lead here in the way he broke down the characters in his summary, and I'm going to follow his same example. So we're going to start with Vansen and Dumpus.
And let me just cut in for one quick thing, because I mentioned this several episodes ago. The person that wrote this episode is Doc Johnson.
Oh.
And this is the only episode that this person wrote, and the only credit this person ever has, which, our working theory is that this is a pseudonym for someone, but this is it. So this is the one bit of television this person officially ever wrote.
Interesting. And an episode you like.
I do really like it, yeah.
So that's weird. You'd think it would be because it was a bad episode.
When I saw it was episode 9, I thought, oh, this is going to be terrible. And I quite like this episode.
It's very strange. Dampus and Vansen are locked in, I guess, a force field cell. Like it's a cell that has no walls, but I guess there's a force field around it, so they can't get out.
Yeah, there's some sort of thing that I assume it has to do with human biology. They can't pass it, but silicates can go through the lasers or whatever it is.
Right. I think they even turn it off. I think the silicates have to turn it off.
Maybe you're
too.
right.
I'm not sure. Anyway, they are given the titular choice or chance.
Ugh, I know. I'll keep hoping that they're gonna drop this, but that's what the silicates do. They always talk in this stupid way.
And essentially, the silicates are like, you guys must choose, but one of you is gonna die, and one of you is gonna work in the mines.
Yeah.
So we're gonna leave that up to you, and we're gonna come back and see what you decide.
Yeah. So that's those two characters at their plot line.
Yeah. But one thing they notice as they're debating this offer is that there seems to be a Chig standing in the corner of the room.
Oh, I forgot. That was really funny. So there's a Chig there, which again, I don't know how he's existing. But more importantly,
He's in his suit.
He's in his suit, but he's kind of just like in the shadows, like watching, like kind of a weird voyeur.
Yeah, he's a real perv.
He's just like, well, what are those two ladies doing there? You think maybe they'll start kissing?
Maybe they'll make a choice or a chance.
Yeah.
Also, choice or chance, that's the same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they see this Chig in the side of the room, they're able to extrapolate that this choice or chance is an experiment to see what they'll do.
Yeah, which I don't know. Like, who cares? Why do you need to have an experiment on humans? You already know what humans are like.
It's not much of an experiment. It's like Jigsaw is doing an experiment.
Right.
But they decide the best thing to do in this situation is put on a little play.
Yeah.
So they stage some theater where Damphouse pretends to betray Vansen and says she should die and Damphouse should live. So the silicates come back to the cell, and when they come in, Vansen is so upset by this betrayal that Damphouse and her get in a little fake stage fight, which they use to basically get the upper hand and beat the silicates and kill the Chig in the room.
Here's my question, though, because they get into a physical fight, and they're obviously faking it. Were they really hitting each other, or were they fake hitting each other? Because if they're fake hitting each other, you would assume everyone would know.
I mean, it looked like they were fake hitting each other.
Well, I know, because it's just bad choreography, but I know. But like,
I know. I think that was part of the plan. It wasn't because it was bad choreography.
Oh, I don't think so.
It was good choreography
for
a fake fight.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know if that's true, though.
Anyway, it's a classic trope where you pretend you've betrayed each other, get in a fight to lull the enemy into a false sense of security, and then you get the upper hand on them.
And what does the Chig do? He's like, I'm out of here.
No, they somehow kill him too.
Did they kill him?
Like, I think one of the silicates had a gun, and so they managed to like shoot the Chig as well. I don't know. It was very confusing, but they win. Their plan works.
Yeah.
And they're so proud of their excellent acting that I believe the scene ends on Vansen turns to Damphouse and says, "You're Brando, babe." And Damphouse says, "You're De Niro, girl."
Yeah.
Because there are no good female actors.
Yeah. No, there's no female actors, and not only that, but their references only go back to the 1970s.
1920s. What about Sarandon? One of the best.
Yeah, you like Sarandon?
She's the best. She's a treasure.
Katharine Hepburn. She's pretty good.
Absolutely.
We're going older.
What about
Meryl Streep?
Streep? Exactly. Yeah. Much better actor than De Niro. She wasn't in Meet the Parents.
Oh, well, I don't know if she's a better actor, but I think, yes, you're right. She wasn't in Meet the Parents. You're correct about that.
Both Brando and De Niro, late career, awful actors.
Well, I really wish this podcast just became us telling Brando stories, because I could do that forever, because there's a lot of hilarious ones. But anyways, I digress.
Just go watch that documentary about Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh yeah, please do.
That's a great example of Brando being an awful actor.
Anyways, that's not why you called.
It's not why you called this podcast that's on your phone?
Yep.
Makes sense. Anyway, that ends their kind of storyline. They kind of escape from their cell at this point. And now we'll go up to the next up, Wang.
Oh yeah, Wang and Doug Hutchinson.
Who's this guy?
Huh?
I don't know who Doug Hutchinson is.
You know who Doug Hutchinson is. Doug Hutchinson is an actor who only plays creepy people. And so he played
in this he's playing. We see Wang. He's strapped spread eagle to a chair because he's going to be tortured.
It's a very James Bond-esque sort of thing.
By this silicate named Elroy L 1327, a former humor model, now turned torture specialist.
Yeah, and he said he was a silicate to make you smile. That's what he said. So he was like a pleasure robot or something.
Well, he's the humor. He was a stand-up comedian. He's the Jerry Lewis of the future.
Yeah. No, but Doug Hutchinson has a few interesting things. One, remember in the X-Files episode where the guy stretched his Coombs, I think, he stretched his fingers and he liked to eat livers?
No, I don't remember. But
anyways,
I'll believe
that's
you.
Doug Hutchinson. Also was in The Green Mile. Remember The Green Mile? He's the creepy guy in that. But most famously now, sadly, is he's the one who, he's in his 50s, who married that young girl who was like only 17.
Oh, he's the guy on Lost who married that 17-year-old. Yes.
That's who he is. Yeah.
They're not married anymore. I think she wised up.
I think for some reason that relationship didn't
work out. Weird.
Yeah.
What's Doug Hutchinson up now? Just like crying in a room somewhere?
I think he's probably just playing weird, creepy parts. Now I have to say, he's excellent at them because he has a creepy looking face and he's good at creepy parts. And
he's a creep in real life.
Yeah, he's a creep in real life. But I loved his character for a couple of reasons. One, he's creepy looking, and he's just like, he's a sadistic torturer. And as much as basic cable, torture can be. But what I love, and I hope you thought about this, is almost all the silicates, you get to see under their skin. You see like little lights and stuff flashing. I loved it. I was so excited because the implication being the silicates can't fix themselves. So every now and then, you bump your head or whatever, and then you expose, for whatever reason, there's lights and stuff under their skin. But he looks like a real mess. Like he's got like, it's almost the equivalent of like acne all over his forehead, but it's just like lights and whistles and stuff all over. I loved it. I thought it was so great.
I made a note. This is Jordan's favorite character. He loves it when a robot's circuits are exposed.
Yeah, it was great. And all of them they all look a little bit worse for wear, which was a question I had later on, which we'll get to. But yeah, they all look like, clearly the silicates aren't able to fix themselves.
Certainly not on this planet. They have no way of repairing themselves.
Not on this planet. Well, I mean, you'd assume with the size of the planet we saw earlier, with the amount of buildings and stuff, you'd assume there'd be one skin-fixing building.
Some place with some plastic.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently not. Not out in the penal colonies.
Just some shrink wrap and a hairdryer.
Yeah, exactly.
This is great, this scene, because we get to learn a little bit about the Chigs from our Chucklebot friend.
I know you wrote down what I wrote down, what the Chigs call humans.
Yeah. As mentioned, we learned for the first time one of the things Chigs hate about humans is their blood stinks. Humans' blood stinks to a Chig.
Yeah.
So, like humans have a slur for Chigs, which is Chigs, because we have no idea what their species is called, Chigs have a slur for humans. What is it, Jordan?
Red stink creatures. Did you love it? I loved it.
I did. I like that he's also the silicate Chucklebot is just like, it's a little more eloquent in their language, but red stink creature.
But here's what we've also learned. So they're trading with them. The silicates and the Chigs are trading together.
They're speaking their language.
Yeah, they're like working together and they're speaking language. I was like, guys, humans, you're so behind. Like there must be able to be diplomatic talks if the silicates have gotten this far.
Well, I mean, that Secretary General's right. They should be talking.
Yeah, I agree.
You can. It's not that hard.
Oh, but he mentions though that they are actually working for the Chigs and they get to keep the raw fuels of the planet as payment. That's why their silicates are doing it.
Yeah, that's what the reason is it's being pulled up. Whatever they're mining there, the silicates get to hang on to. This Chucklebot is there to torture Wang, and at first I wasn't sure I thought he was trying to get information out of him, but it turns out what he's doing is he's breaking Wang in order for Wang to record kind of a classic video where he gets on there and basically admits to killing civilians and that he's a war crimes he's committing. Yeah, he's a war criminal, thank you. And that's sort of the purpose of this, I guess, is to propaganda.
I think part of it is, yes, that's what he was doing, but he clearly is, a bit of a sadist who enjoyed the torture. Now, we never really see the torture. It's much more, remember when Geordi got tortured in Star Trek?
Right.
It's much more that and much less Marathon Man, but that's kind of the feeling you get is that.
Right. He takes off, the Chucklebot takes off his finger and he's got like a zapper.
I love that. Yeah, he takes off. So the implication, he's like poking him with that little finger.
Poke.
Poke. Ah, no, that's sensitive. Poke.
But yeah, I guess here's my question. Chigs have war crimes, or is this something the silicates are like, hey, we should do this? Because how would they know?
No, I think they're implying that attacking the Chigs is the war crime.
No, but do Chigs have the concept of war crimes, or is this all the silicates' idea?
I think he's just a troublemaker.
This Chucklebot?
Yeah, is it actually a Chucklebot?
No, they call him a humor model, but I just called him a Chucklebot.
Because Chucklebot is great. Let's copyright that. Chucklebot.
Chucklebot, TM. But that's essentially Wang's story this episode. So I'm going to move on now to what's been up with West.
So West is in a little cell all by himself, and what you find out really quick is there's a little hole in between the two cells, and it's clearly like a glory hole.
Oh, come on.
Because it's just like, why is that there? And then it's like, I wanted there to be a last line where West was like, what's this hole for? And they're like, never mind.
Come on.
We
Get out of the gutter.
We can cut that. Anyways,
it's fine. It's great.
As you were.
It's great, Jordan. Everyone's going to love to hear this new glory hole theory of yours.
Well, if you want to talk about the poop as monetary payment, I'd love to. No one's emailed me about it.
But you're right. There's a hole between his cell, and this is there because in this same prison colony is his long-lost girlfriend.
Yeah, she shows up. And I was like, oh no. If this is actually her, it's just the end of everything, because he's just going to go on and I love you. And it's like, ugh, enough.
Well, it's true. He does.
It's true, yeah.
He sees his girlfriend. They start talking to this hole in the cells. His girlfriend reveals that her and her cellmate had been working on a plan to prison break basically for 6 months, and they're executing it that day.
Yeah, and if I was West, the first thing I would have said is, this seems a little convenient. 6 months and today, the day I arrive, you're going to escape?
But
it smells a little fishy.
But instead he goes, "Durr."
It's true, he does.
But yeah, they break out. They break West out. This cellmate she's been planning to break out with gets killed in the process, and the two of them kind of run off and escape. And of course, the first thing West said is like, "Oh, we should go back get my friends." Mm-hmm. And his girlfriend's like, "Let's not."
Yeah, she's like, "There's no time. We already have this planned out. We should just do it." But she does say a funnier line where I think they kiss, and she says to him, and she looks like really weird or something. You know, she looks uncomfortable. And he's like, "What's wrong?" And then she goes, "I never thought I'd feel your breath on my face again." And I thought, his breath? I guess he's just a real mouth breather. That was really weird. That's what she was reminiscent of, his breath all over her face.
Well,
like when she's sleeping.
You just snored onto her face.
Yeah, exactly.
After that kiss happens, she immediately covers her nose. I just did it myself and covered the mic. She covers her nose with her hand and looks down, and West has cut himself in the escape. Very suspicious. Because his blood stinks, and she's a goddamn chig.
You know what's funny? I actually forgot about that scene. Oh yeah, because I remember he was cut and she was all weird about it. But did she? Oh, she covered her face.
She covered her nose.
Oh yeah.
And I think they give away that a little too early. That like she's clearly a fake girlfriend.
Yeah, they give it. Well, they right away, like almost the second scene with her, you get a sense something's not right.
Right. But I mean, she does. It's because like. We know immediately she's a fake chick. But I guess maybe that goes to your point that, like, I miss the breath in your face. Chicks don't know how humans work.
Oh, you know, that I never thought of that. I kind of like that then. If that's what they were going for.
So she's like, what's romantic? Your breath on my face. And because West is stupid, he doesn't catch it.
She's like, I love the time we cohabited together.
West's like, durr. Oh, I like that too.
Yeah, he's such an idiot.
Anyway, she just keeps asking him very suspicious questions about their attack on this world.
Yeah.
And West slowly starts cluing in and accidentally actually helps the episode because she asks, like, what's the plan now? How are they going to come rescue you? And he makes up something that the Saratoga is going to go hide around his son.
Yeah.
He doesn't know this, but, the Saratoga is actually on its way there. And because he makes up this lie, as soon as he says, oh, they're hiding behind the sun or something, it cuts back to the Saratoga and they're like, all their planes are leaving and they're flying off to that sun. We've got a window. So it's kind of this opportunity that he inadvertently gives us and really like telegraphs home that like this fake girlfriend is really sending information back.
Yeah.
I don't even know how. How is she sending that information?
Yeah, it's one of those like it doesn't really matter. Just wave your hands over it. But yeah, somehow she's communicating because she's with him the whole time. So unless she can do it telepathically, but whatever.
And basically, West figures it out. You're not my girlfriend after many, many clues have been given. And he kind of runs off back to the prison and leaves her behind. And that kind of like wraps up his little journey through this episode.
And he's grown as a person because he'll leave. It's like he didn't really, because he would only really grown if he left her the real person.
Yeah.
But it's like he knows it's not real, so what does it matter?
Yeah, he doesn't really grow. He just, I guess, finally clues in. And finally, we get to the adventures of McQueen and Hawks.
Yeah. They actually probably have the least to do in this episode, but again, I like that they kind of partnered everyone up. Well, except for what's his face, old Wang. But I do like that they each got their own plot line. And they're in a coffin in the desert or wherever they are.
Wang was partnered with Chucklebot.
Oh yeah, Chucklebot. Yeah.
I love that.
Do you like getting poked? Bzz, 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 with his little finger. Well, that'd be great if that's like an involuntary thing he has to always keep doing is giggling. Old Chucklebot.
Hawks and West are basically on the run on the planet. They end up killing a few silicates. They actually get my favorite kill of the episode. Did you? I'm going to describe it as best I can. But they've gotten a gun, and they're sneaking up on this silicate who's like seems to be chugging a bottle of motor oil.
Yeah.
And they fire at him, and basically they like knock him off his feet so hard he practically like flips over. Like it's such a hard shot.
There's a couple of weird ones. He also he lures them in by like taking his clothes off and burying them partially under the sand. And I remember they're like, "There's a human there," and they just start shooting. But I was like, why would he have been under the sand like that? Like it's clearly like he's hiding. He's got like one foot out. Like it's clearly just clothing under the sand. There's a few like almost on the line like a little too zany sort of zany kills.
Absolutely. But they use these dead silicates to basically, they like open their brains up and send a Morse code message to Saratoga to let them know where they are. And at one point, because they're going to go back to the prison and break them out, I think it's McQueen just tears the silicate's arm clean off.
And what I like with this, for a few scenes, he just has the arm with him.
Yeah.
Like later on, he's just at one part he just tosses it aside, but like there's a couple scenes where he's just walking him and Hawks. He's just got an arm. He's just holding it. I guess like he's like a troll or something.
I guess what we learn is they use their hands to unlock things, so you just need to like tear an arm off.
Yeah. Well, that worked.
It was very badass. I loved when he tore it off.
Yeah. You really got the sense that he was on this mission. He's been really jonesing for some action for a while because he goes all Rambo.
I mean, most of the episode, they kind of McQueen and Hawks kind of get to like develop their relationship. That, you know, they're both tanks. I guess he's kind of becoming a bit of a, not quite a father figure, but kind of an uncle figure or something to Hawks. They kind of talk about like their feelings and why McQueen likes humans. He's trying to prove a point that I guess the tanks aren't lazy or something. But they go on their little adventure. They break finally into the prison camp where, maybe you can explain this to me. They walk through a door and it's this huge like cavernous pit going down. It's flashing and there's like maybe mining going on. Mm-hmm. Is that just supposed to be the raw material? Like they seem shocked by it.
Well, they said earlier that they're mining whatever the resource was. So that's what I assumed it was, some sort of mining facility. I don't know. But yeah, they were like, oh, it's like, oh, it's just mining. They
seemed way too shocked for it felt like a reveal that I didn't understand.
I think maybe they were just shocked at how industrious they were.
These lazy chicks?
Yeah.
Tank shouldn't put that on anyone else.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hawks goes and saves Wang from the Chucklebot. So now they've got Wang back. They bump into Vansen and Dampoose after getting out of their cell.
They all time their escapes very well. They all meet each other in the hallway.
And when they meet each other in the hallway, Vansen lets them know that West has run off again. They need to go find him. What is the fourth time he's run off?
At least, yeah.
And as they get outside of the camp, the cavalry is sort of arriving from the Saratoga. The silicates are coming up, so they're kind of getting in a firefight with the silicates. Wang is totally shell-shocked from being tortured. So at some point, he just stands up in the battle. And at this point, West reappears and basically saves his life.
Yeah.
And kind of lectures him. I'm like, the guy's shell-shocked. Leave him alone. West, don't yell at him. And out of sort of the woods, West's girlfriend reappears and starts calling out to Vansen and the others. She's like, come this way, it's safe. Vansen, over here. At which point, West is like, I never told you their names.
And he shoots her.
And he shoots his girlfriend dead.
And then we get a great scene.
Of she morphs into a gross chig who is also melting.
This does raise some questions. 1, did chigs just look like humans? 2, what technology is it that makes them... So the whole point, she was a chig. So are chigs able to...
Are they shapeshifters?
Are they shapeshifters? Or even worse, are they able to... Because what I actually thought at first, because I wrote a whole bunch of questions about what I thought it was she was actually a silicate and they had made a robot that looked just like...
Yes, that would make the most sense.
To make more sense. But then I was like, how would they have done that? Because they clearly don't have enough skin to fix their little weird cybernetic foreheads and stuff. But then it's like, no, she's a chig. And it's like, so are chigs going to be able to make... Because this is becoming very Cylon-esque. Like, are they going to be able to do a bunch of people undercover? Are we going to find out that other people are chigs? But maybe? Or is it just like a convenient, we just need her to go away, so she's going to ooze away? Like, I wasn't sure where we were going to land on that.
That's interesting. Maybe they will go that way. But yeah, I mean, that establishes the idea that they can replicate someone very accurately.
Mm-hmm.
And they're able to survive outside of their suits while they're in that human form.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah, but as soon as she's shot, and again, we don't get a clear shot of a chig face. Like, it's already melted by the time we look at it. So yeah, are they just gooey shapeshifters?
But here's the thing: they never knew they were coming to the planet. It was a surprise, right? The crazy hearts. What are they called?
Wild cards.
The wild cards.
Crazy hearts.
Whatever they are. They didn't know they were coming to the planet, so they crash on the planet. It was like everything was set up for them, though. So his girlfriend was already there. So my point being, did they just have her like ready in the background? Like, at some point we're going to see West. It's going to be great. You just pretend to be the girlfriend. Like, do you know what I mean? Or was it West crashed and somehow they have some knowledge and they go, like there was, my point being, there's no way they would have known about his past history.
Well, I guess they have his girlfriend prisoner. I think
you know what? You're right. I forgot they have his girl. So maybe they've just replicated everyone that they have as prisoners?
Well, I guess maybe the big question is, in the time it took him to crash, they did not know West was coming, and the silicates brought him back. Are they able to send the information that we've captured this lieutenant, check your database, we know he has a significant other, quickly, my chig friend, somehow become his girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Or have they duplicated everyone they've caught and they've just got him on hand? Like, there's a bunch of chigs who are just like in prisoner costumes.
I can only assume that we're going to find out more. And I have the feeling that it probably won't jive 100% with what we've seen before. I think there'll be a little bit inconsistencies, but I think we're going to learn more about the chigs that, yes, they're either able to shapeshift or something in the future. But there's a couple of holes here in how this happened.
I hope you're right, though. I hope there is Battlestar Galactica, like one of the people have always been a chig. That would be great.
And it'll just be a guy that they'll do an episode where they'll have seen there's this guy in the background the whole time, and he just from his perspective as a chig. That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd be all over that.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, this sort of ends the episode. They're saved by the cavalry. They go back up to the Saratoga. Wang's new girlfriend tries to give him his present because he's back, but he's like so PTSD, he kind of runs away from her.
Yeah, I like that though. They didn't have the moment you thought they were going to be like, they're reunited. Then he opens it. He goes, it's the baseball from Johnny Tutu, my favorite baseball player. Instead, he just like, I'm out of here.
They're at least going to come back and try to address that he's been tortured for many hours and it's affected him in some way.
Right.
And because, as we recall from last episode, Sewell was back and basically wanted the Saratoga to go to Cirrus. He obviously must have had, dubious reasons for it. And it's kind of revealed when, I guess he had a spy or an agent in the cavalry who went to pick up the wild cards on the planet. He goes into a room and a soldier comes in and hands him a briefcase. And the mystery briefcase pops open, and whatever's in Pulp Fiction's briefcase is also in that
that's
briefcase.
Right. Yeah, they saw that. Saw that and went, "That's great. We could do the same thing and don't have to explain anything."
Yeah, it's just a glow. Like, it's glowing out of the briefcase. We never see what's inside, but Sewell's like, "Yeah, I got it." Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So clearly there's more mystery built.
That part is maybe my least favorite part of the show, or the part I'm least interested in, is the whole mystery of Aerotech and what I don't really care.
They're doing a bad job teasing it out.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Because
Who
what's the
cares?
reveal going to be? That they're corrupt? That they're working with
That's
the
what I mean.
Chigs?
It's like they're gonna it's gonna be one thing of like they've been working with the Chigs the whole time, or they've been working with the Silicates. I'm like, okay, who cares? Sure,
They're just bad guy. Like they're just like, oh, they're another bad guy.
right.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It's not really. It hasn't been building to a very interesting place. Like they're just a greedy corporation. Yeah, so's all corporations.
Right. Yeah. So but that's the end of this episode. End of the two-parter.
Yeah. So you want any final thoughts, and you want to give a rating?
My only thought would be, as a whole, I thought it was good. From like, if you put the two episodes together as two separate parts, they were very uneven.
Could have edited it into one.
Oh my god! I think it could have been one. I think it could have been one amazing episode, but we got not. We didn't get that.
Fair enough.
I would say the first episode, I'll give you. I didn't really enjoy it very much because I just thought it was so much setup, and as it went further and further, I realized that's all it was going to be. I give it a 6.
6. Yeah. I mean, you're right. It was the first act.
Yes, that's what I mean. It wasn't a full episode, so I was like, oh well. I mean, giving a 6, I think is generous. Not because it was bad, just because it wasn't a full episode of TV. It was just a setup. Yeah, it was the first act.
I mean, we do get to learn a little bit of how Chig ships work, but even that, I was a little let down. I was like, I thought we'd
There'd be
spend more
right?
time in there,
Yeah.
or there'd be there's a little training montage, but it's very minor. I don't know. I was a little, I'm going to give it a 5, I think.
I like that I liked it less than you, but I still gave it a higher score.
I don't know if I liked it that much. It wasn't a lot.
Right.
And then choice or chance.
I actually really liked this episode for, I think I've mentioned, all the characters had something to do. There was a lot of action. There was a lot of just stuff happening. We actually learned stuff about things. I give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's very funny. When you start talking about how much you like this episode, I felt very indifferent to both episodes.
Really?
They did very little for me. After talking with you, I probably would have given these episodes the exact same rating before, because I just felt as invested in both of them.
Right.
But I think because we've talked, and I think you're right about a lot of your points, and because I like Chucklebot so much,
He was great.
I'm gonna go up to a 6.
Wow.
So that's where I'm laying. These two,
We're like two sprinters running, and I've made you faster because we're running together.
just the wake. Your
Yeah,
wake has
exactly.
pulled me forward. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Maybe I'm being too hard,
overall, it was like, I mean, 8, to be honest, 8's probably a little high, but I think I was so bored of the first episode that I was like, yes, this second episode. Overall, it's probably like a 6, 7, overall for the 2 episodes together, but whatever.
fair enough. I mean, it averages it out that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that about wraps it up for these. Here's one thing that we forgot last week, Jordan, because it's been so long since we fired up the old escape pod.
Yeah. Where are we at?
Escape pod trademark.
Trademark, Escape Pod, trademark, Chucklebot.
Chocobot, yeah, get those all trademarked. It doesn't really matter. We've been rating these high enough that I don't think we're anywhere near.
I don't think so. I bet we're at like a 6 something. 6.8 is my guess.
6.8. Interesting. Let's see. For those who don't remember, we can abandon a series after 4 podcasts should the entire series average between Jordan and I fall below 5.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty safe right now, but let's see what this is averaging out at. Right now, Space Beyond, according to the Continuum Drag computer, is averaging out at 6.64.
Yeah.
So still well within safe. Safe
Yeah.
podcasting range.
You know what? And that's not high, obviously, as a TV show rating, but for the shows we've watched, that's pretty high. Like Beyond Westworld was scoring like a what, -6 or something?
Yeah, something like that. It was pretty low. You know what I'm going to say about this series average right now? I'm surprised it's as low as it is. I like this show, and I am enjoying it, but there are a lot of individual episodes that just don't live up to the promise.
I agree. There's something there. They're not. It's like watching potential that just keeps missing the mark. It just keeps missing. Almost invariably, like there's something good, and it doesn't quite work.
It feels like every 4-ish episodes, they really nail it. They're like, this is the promise of the show realized. And then they fall over the next episode. Like they do a Fear Planet one where they just that was fall terrible. On their face. And I'm like, what happened? You guys, you almost have it.
You know what they need to do is have more of this Doc Johnson write some more episodes.
Yeah.
He didn't write the other one, though. Isn't that weird? They had one person write the setup and then one person write the conclusion.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. Everything in the second episode that Doc Johnson did was great.
Yeah.
Or at least much better. Like, he invented Chucklebot. I'm going to love him for that forever.
I pray Chucklebot comes back.
Oh, he's definitely coming back. They always bring the silicates back. And he was one of the best silicates they've introduced.
Oh, I think he's the best one so far. Who's better? The woman with her 1980s, like, poison music video hair?
All the silicates have huge hair.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that about wraps it up. If you want to get a hold of us and ask us any questions or follow up on anything we've talked about, you can get a hold of us at continuumdrag@gmail.com. And of course, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, where we're always posting cool images and GIFs and things from these episodes, and you can engage with us there too.
Yeah, and you don't actually have to watch the episodes. You could just watch
the best parts.
A 10-second clip, and that's all you need.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can find us at Continuum Drag on both those social media platforms. So until next time, good podcasting with you, Jordan.
Yeah, let's get chicky with it.
Let's get chicky with it. All right, bye.
Bye.
Continuum Drag is recorded at Astrolab Studios in Toronto, Ontario. Theme music by James Rick-Seidler. Produced by Jordan Delick and Luke Black. Special thanks to Adam Wheatner, Jeff Hanley, and Dwayne Wright.